Hi guys, so I thought I'd give a little update. I recorded about 2 weeks ago and this is what Trevor's been doing. He emptied the wood blocks and he's putting some hostas, some ferns, some Asiatic lilies, a geum, I think it's totally tangerine, and a couple of, I don't know what they're called, but they're annuals. These here. So he's done that, and then over here he's just put some hardy geranium in that one, and a water feature, which that's solar panelled. And then over here, just underplanted until they fill out. So there's a couple of geums that I moved from around the garden, and a geranium there, and around here same again. There's a few geraniums. Yeah. And then a lot of the spring bulbs have gone over now. So we've got the peonies that aren't quite open, but they're thinking about it. Bluebells still flowering, and we've got some alliums that are opening, and also aqualedges, more peonies behind it, poppy just there. And then I'll try not to move too quick because I'm always going too fast. Let's move along here. We've got the hostas are all coming up now, and more of these alliums that was planted a year or two ago. I think last time I spoke I'd already got the roses in the pots. There's a few geums, which is Mrs. Bradshaw. I think they sell seed as well. And now there's a few roses that I forgot to cut in Feb, and although they're getting ready to flower, I don't like the leaves on, because usually I get rid of the leaves when I'm cutting them in the Feb, because otherwise they can get a bit nasty. So some more hardy geranium just there, some more aqualedgia there. Okay, so in the pond we have some marsh marigolds flowering, and we've got some river geums, which apparently, to get totally tangerine geum, you breed the seed from this one with the seed from Mrs. Bradshaw. And then along here, I'm going too fast again. This is the Choisya. This has flowered really well this year. That's Californian lilac, and the bees go crazy on that, but it's gone that wide. Now I need to squeeze through. That's all of Trevor's spring bulbs, which have gone over now, but obviously you need to leave the leaves on so that it feeds the energy into the bulb. So I'll start on one side, I'll finish at Trevor's borders. So I have some new roses. I forgot the names. I'll remember them in a few weeks when I do an update once they're flowering. So I've got a new one there and a new one there. More alliums coming up. And then just all sorts of bits and pieces dotted about. Can't remember half my roses because I moved them all round. So I'll tell you when they're all flowering. More hardy geranium there. More geums and peonies. That looks like it might be more Mrs. Bradshaw. I don't remember buying that much Mrs. Bradshaw. I think I only bought two. I've got about 4 now. So I'm just waiting really on the roses to flower, and they're a bit of a way off because I do like to give them a harsh cut. And that's red valerian, which is nice and strong this year. So when I first had it, it needed staking. It was a bit of a pain, but it's looking good this year. And then this is hazel, but it does keep having the suckers come through with a green one, so I keep snipping at them. And then there's some yellow geum hiding in there. We've got some bleeding heart. So that rose is called One Love, has like a reddy orange when it flowers. And this geranium, I think it's Bevan's variety. There was a dog walker gave me this about 15 years ago, and it's brilliant. It'll go anywhere and stick it in the sun, in the shade, round trees, deepy shade. It just doesn't care, it's kick-ass. I cut this Wigella down last year because it was twiggy and it wasn't doing anything, and a lot of it was rotten, and it's just come back up and it looks really good, so I'll see how it flowers. And then over here got a few plants I took out of pots, so well, that there's a foxglove that was dotted around the rest of the garden, and they can take shade, so that went in there. There's an ice there. There's a shady loving grass just there, ferns, and then behind the ferns is some brunnera which I bought last year. In the pot there's yew balls, and then what else is there? Okay, over into Trevor's borders. This here, I don't think I mentioned it round the pond. This is sweet woodruff. Another dog lady gave me some. She had Jack Russells. I've got Jack Russells, and I was going to show you, but they've snuck back in the house. She gave me that about 6 years ago, and now I've just got it dotted around the garden. It would grow in shade or sun. Trevor's got lots of hostas in here because this is a very shady border, as is, try not to go too fast, this border as well. That's quite shady, and I forgot to mention I do have a hydrangea in there. Just there, that came out of a pot. I think it will do better there, to be honest. Oh, and there is another Isa which I've had quite a few years now. So, Trevor's got some Isas and some brunnera as well. Around the back here he's got this herbaceous perennial thing called the Actia. It looks like a shrub, but it does die all the way down, and it has little, I think it's white flowers it has on it. And then These were tiny when I bought them. They are Japanese anemones, pink ones, and I'll move back a bit. There's 2 or 3 there, and they're big. And then some more geum, which he never used to like. He used to moan about my geum, and then suddenly it's one of his favourite flowers because it flowers for months and months. It's great. And then some Mexican fleabane, more aqualegias, yeah, and okay, the birds are moaning because there's a few birds nesting. Buddleia just there, and then this shed was basically a bomb shelter because this house was built in 1926, and it was way too thick. There was no way we were getting rid of it unless we got machines in. So we use it as the shed now. And then this middle border, Trevor tends to. He's got some alliums. I think the alliums he likes to buy are Gladiator. Most of the ones I tend to buy are Purple Sensation, but I do love the drumstick ones as well. In fact, the drumstick ones are my favourites. And then Trevor didn't cut any of his roses down, so his are all ahead of mine and getting ready to flower. But obviously some of them have already got black spot, but he's like, nah, I'm not bothered with black spot. And if I try not to tread on his plants or it'll kill me. He has a rose flowering because his roses are ahead of mine. That is a Peterbilt rose called Evelyn May, and it is a strong smelling one. It smells to me like an old rose. I think Trev says it's supposed to smell spicy, but I disagree with that. And he's got quite a few buds on it. And then he's got another rose there with loads of flowers. I think this is his favourite, and this is Timeless Charisma, that one. And then this one here this is a David Austin, and it's Princess Alexandra of Kent, and it did have a flower on but it snapped off, and it is really good when it gets going. And we have some Marjoram, and the bees love this. It flowers but it spreads and it self-seeds everywhere, but I wouldn't get rid of it personally. I think it's a great plant. And some chives as well. This was a geranium my mum gave me years ago, and it self-seeds, but again I don't really mind. A little bit of remnants of strawberries that I think Trev thought he'd got it all up, but there's bits still lurking. And then we come round various hardy geraniums. Campanula there, a hardy geranium, I'm not sure which one that is. This one, Tammy, you'd know this one. Boom Chocolata, I think you got that. Oops, put my finger out the way. And then, which one's this one? I think this is still Timeless Charisma just here. And then we have an elder tree just here, but apparently you can grow these as big as you want, and you can even chop it down to the ground in spring. I haven't tried that, and Trevor doesn't want to try it just in case it doesn't come back. And then this rose here is Bring Me Sunshine, which is another David Austin, and obviously in a few weeks time I'll come out when they're all open and show you, because they are beautiful when they get going. That is Globe Thistle, which has gone a little bit crazy, and oh, that's Rose, oh, can't remember what that is. Rosie something. Brambling Rosie. And then, I don't know if you can see, there's a robin lurking because they've nested. It's on top of the seat on the roof. They've nested by the house, and they're very busy parents. And we've got a few birds that have also nested in these trees here. There's a few nesting in that evergreen there, and there's a few that have nested in there, and also there's a blackbird that decided to nest in the honeysuckle. So I'll try to get the dogs out for the next video that I do, because like I say, they've gone and vanished on me. So I'll see you in a week or two. Bye.